Ladies and gentlemen, we come together at our darkest hour, the final crossroad where a system we take so dearly for granted could be lost beneath us. Freedom and justice, the most precious assets that our civilization has crafted, are being assailed, are under attack. And today, I would like to argue that their survival depends on one institution: trial by jury. This is what is required to keep us safe from the hands of our undefined future. Nowadays, we often underestimate the significance of those two words, freedom and justice. It is no accident that the 1215 Magna Carta would continually refer to notions of freedom and justice. The Charter was there to embolden individuality against royal arbitrary rule. These words are not just plucked out of thin air, which is why it becomes no accident that Thomas Jefferson, some 500 years later, would look to freedom and justice to guide foundational documents of the United States of America. These ideas are timeless, which is why, in today's world, it has become apparent that it is again freedom and justice, which are too often sidelined by systems which prioritize speed and efficiency over participation. Speed and efficiency over freedom and justice. But this isn't the first time that our nation has been faced with such a hellish realization. Our use of case law to further pursue legislation has meant that significant judgments, even from seemingly ancient trials, have the capacity to improve our uncodified constitution. Our legal system, embodied in the form of 12 randomly picked individuals, means that man retains the power to challenge an overreaching state. Juries bring mercy to the cold-hearted courtroom, humanity to the judiciary, and lived experience to the otherwise indifferent judge. Funnily enough, this was actually the first purpose of a jury, and in the 997 AD Wantage Code, issued by Ethelred the Unready, we get some of our earliest depictions of a jury trial. 12 thanes swearing on relics to investigate crimes, neither accusing the innocent nor protecting the guilty. Unlike a modern jury, though, they didn't just sit around and hear evidence in a courtroom. Oh no. They went out on the hunt themselves in their local areas. But if we further blast through 600 years of political turmoil, we meet again at the Old Bailey. Law student and later founder of Pennsylvania, William Penn, and Quaker friend William Meade are on trial for unlawful assembly. But when the jury refuses to convict, they're imprisoned without food or water until they give the correct verdict. Yet the jury did not yield, and under appeal in Bushell's case, Chief Justice Vaughan established a principle that lasts into our world today, that a jury should be free from coercion. Surely this, ladies and gentlemen, emblazoned in a golden plaque, surely this is our nation's success story. This idea has lasted over the centuries, endured wars, but not only evolving our legal system, but also those of Commonwealth nations. So far as it turns out to me that when you're following our history as a nation, you're actually following the evolution of our justice system as taken by these paintings and cartoons. So, if this is our nation's success story, as I put forth, why, in 2026, do we hear calls to curtail trial by jury? It's too expensive, the politicians howl. It's too slow, the journalists wail. But they want to prioritize speed and efficiency over this participation, over your freedom and justice. Those arguments are absurd and abysmal to me, and here is why. Since the 2010 austerity measures, the Ministry of Justice has faced substantial cuts, and obviously lockdown happening and the closure of courts just increased the backlog. And so surely, ladies and gentlemen, this isn't the issue of juries, but actually an issue of investment. Economic efficiency should never be compatible, and is never compatible, with our freedoms, because it takes away that fundamental human aspect that you need in judgments, as our friend was discussing earlier. And so your freedoms are just being chipped away right in front of your eyes. And I know us here, we just read the reports though and give a nonchalant shrug. What's it to me? I'm not going to court anytime soon. I don't care. I'd like to take a moment to appreciate my father. Having lived in the blood, toil and sweat of a communist Bulgarian upbringing, he was taken into Warsaw Pact national service. And he's seated with us tonight. He was imprisoned in solitary confinement for 24 hours for reading a book. So you see, you can actually hear the injustice of him in his cell. Where are my freedoms? Where do I turn? Who's there to care? Well, no one. People would die, and have died, for the right to have 12 randomly picked individuals rationalize a sentence like this. But we just think it's a waste of money. The ignorance just sends shivers down my spine. Which is why you can imagine that I was shocked to hear of the Law School of North Carolina trying out an AI jury in a mock trial, gloating at the excellence of the engineering skill and the lack of bias that a human jury would have. Right. You see there that you've actually replaced human, real intelligence and real lived experience, real mercy, real humanity with artificial intelligence, all for money. Which is why I advocate that the role of juries should remain with the people. Democracy is people power, ladies and gentlemen, given the Greek origins of the word in demos and kratos. Literally, it means people power. We can't just so easily give in to an artificial intelligence or to speed and efficiency over our freedom and justice. Former British judge Baron Lane said that that loss of freedom seldom happens overnight, that oppression doesn't stand on the doorstep with a swastika armband. It creeps insidiously, step by step, until the unfortunate citizen realizes that it is gone. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm here to warn you tonight that this is one of those insidious steps. Lord Devlin is quoted as saying that trial by jury is the lamp which shows that freedom lives. Tonight, I want you to join me in agreeing that the question of our freedoms should never be, can trial by jury survive? It's because it must survive. Which is why I would like you to join me at this crossroad that we're at today and take the rational route back to civilization. And so that lamp that Lord Devlin is quoted as discussing is never dimmed on our world. Thank you very much.